Hi everyone, my name is Kim Mirza and I'm the instructor for this course, ASLS 473, which is the SLPA Seminar and Field Experience course. I really like teaching this course because of the experience that you have working with an experienced SLP. And I've heard from students there's just really nothing like getting out there and applying everything that you've learned in your program. So the purpose of this video is to go through the syllabus like I would if we were meeting face-to-face, and also talk about Canvas and how everything is set up there. So let's get started. Okay, so here we are in Canvas, and hopefully this looks familiar to you. I should note that this might look a little different since I'm in it as a faculty and you're in as a student. But nevertheless, you should be able to see the tabs here on the left that are not grayed out. And that's really all you need to navigate this course. So what we're going to do, we're going to start off in the syllabus, and then we'll take a look at how the modules are set up and the assignments. So if you just click on the syllabus, you'll see a downloadable file here, but also you're able to preview the syllabus right on your screen. I'm going to open this up so that we can take a closer look at it. All right, so what you'll see here is the name of the course, that it's fully online, and it's offered during the entire fall semester. Some important information, you'll probably see that this has been updated at this point, and you've got 2 GAs for the course. Now, the graduate assistants for this course are really wonderful, and Kayla has graded for me for this course this past spring, and so she and the new graduate assistant are going to be supporting me with this course primarily by doing a lot of the grading. Okay, so I am all in my office, Gunter 1510, most of the week. But so feel free to stop by. I will make sure to be here during my office hours, so you can call me or you can just stop by in person. I realize with your practicum that coming to campus might not be very convenient, and so you are always welcome to send me an email and we can find a time to get together or to even schedule a call, okay? All right, let's talk about the course now, and I think it makes a lot of sense to start with this beautiful quote. So, 100 years from now, it will not matter what my bank account was, the sort of house I lived in, or the kind of car I drove, but the world may be different because I was important in the life of a child. And for all of you that are taking this course in practicum experience on, I would venture to put money on it that you are not doing this for the money. You are doing this to help students with communication disorders and perhaps to further your experience so you can get a graduate degree in speech-language pathology at some point, or perhaps this is your ultimate career goal. Either way, I think it's very admirable that you are going to be dedicating so much time this semester to supporting children in the schools. So that is such a wonderful thing, and you should be proud of yourself for taking this on. All right, so the purpose of this course is really to give you some basic knowledge and skills for working as a speech-language pathology assistant. And you, at this point, to be eligible to take this class, you had to have clinical methods or be in it currently, since we just recently switched to the fall semester. And so clinical methods is important because it does provide a nice foundation along with your language development, speech, tic disorders, language disorders, all of those courses. But as I mentioned earlier, there is just nothing like getting in there and seeing an SLP in action with kids and then doing some of that work yourself. But this is a part of the requirements for you to apply for authorization. You have to complete an SLPA program. And this course, along with courses at CU and Metro State, meet that requirement. Okay, so what are the objectives of the course? Well, first and foremost, I want you to compare and contrast the roles and responsibilities and scope of practice of the SLPA and the SLP. This is what you're starting with. If you haven't read that ASHA roles responsibilities document yet, that is the very first thing you should do, because it is up to you to make sure you know what you are allowed to be doing as an SLPA and what you are not allowed to be doing, okay? We also want to give you the knowledge and also the opportunities to develop your set of clinical skills working with children in the schools. And by the nature of schools and school placements, you're going to see a lot of different children from all different types of backgrounds likely, and with all different types of communication needs and abilities. Okay. I also want you to learn to be more thoughtful about your own interaction styles and your beliefs about learning and the mentee-mentor relationship. Because you're spending so much time with your SLP and because you are learning so much from him or her, understanding your role and how to work well with somebody else is key for this to be successful. So you're going to have a chance early on in the semester to look at that more closely. You will be practicing implementing a therapy plan based on goals that are developed by your SLP, and likely this will be the bulk of your direct hours that you get working with kids. We also, though, want you to have some experience screening students. And I want you to learn some basics, concepts, and principles related to screening and also intervention. We definitely need to explore ethical conduct, just information about the profession and how SLPAs are used in Colorado. You're going to get a glimpse of how your SLP manages his or her caseload and the scheduling of that caseload. And you may have an opportunity to do some work in that area. And you will definitely also have an opportunity to design intervention materials. Okay, so my philosophy for this course is that you bring a lot to the table. You have earned at least 24 hours, credit hours in the major, or you even more likely if you're a senior or if you've already graduated. You know a lot of things because you've learned about typical language speech development. You know some foundations of clinical practice. So that's really important to give yourself credit for that. But as I mentioned, knowing the theory and the foundation doesn't always translate to knowing what to do when you're working with kids in the school. So you're going to have to take on this role as a willing participant. Be ready to learn. You're going to be communicating with your mentor and other school personnel. You're going to have to complete a variety of assignments that look at your technical skills, but also require you to work with other professionals. I'm asking you to contribute to in-class online discussions, to ask for feedback from your mentor, and to be an active participant in this course. You're going to have to reflect on your strengths and areas that you need to improve in. And this will all help you become a really good SLPA that people will want to hire and want to work with. So your required text, I think, is really a good textbook for you. And I would just suggest to buy it, not rent it, especially if you want to be doing this as a career choice or even in the short term. I've listed a suggested text, this Kramer text, because it has more practical types of activities, but please don't feel like you have to go out and purchase that one. And I will post some readings and videos in Canvas for different content. Okay, so this is how you will be graded in the class. You're going to have 2 what I call question-answer discussion assignments, and we're going to look at Canvas for where directions for those are, and that's only 5% of your grade. Quizzes will make up 20% of your grade, and you're going to have 8 of them, and they're mainly about your textbook readings. And the purpose of me doing timed quizzes is so that you take more of an active approach to your reading, that you study the content, because it is all content that it is expected that you know as you're working as an SLPA. Okay. Assignments do make up a large portion of your grade, 50% overall, and the assignments, the purpose of these is to get you to apply some of the content that you're learning with your students that you're working with each week, and to allow you the opportunity to work with your SLP around some of these assignments. And then we will have a final exam on Canvas, and that will be worth 100 points or 25% of your grade. All right. So we do have the plus-minus rating scale. Unless I note otherwise, everything is due in Canvas by 11:59 p.m. There are some exceptions to that with some of the final documentation, and we'll look at that. I do want to mention about the time commitment. Now, in order for you to get to that 144 hours, and 100 of those being direct contact hours with students, you're going to need to plan for probably more like 12 to 14 hours a week in your placement. You need to factor in that some districts take a whole week off for Thanksgiving. You need to think about all of this as you're making your schedule with your SLP. But for a typical on-campus 4-hour class, you'd be expected to spend those 4 hours in class and double that time outside of class. So to earn that A, while considering that time that you are working in your practicum, you need to spend at least 4 hours a week on the readings and the assignments in this course. Okay, if you're unfamiliar with Canvas, there are a lot of wonderful resources online through these websites. And I will tell you that I am expecting everyone, whether you're a UNC student or you go to CU or another university, to be familiar with UNC's Code of Conduct. And I also reserve the right to use VeriCite, which is a plagiarism tool. If you have documented accommodations through Disability Support Center, please get those to me as soon as possible so I can provide you with the right type of accommodations so that you can succeed in this class. All right. So here is a really important piece here. This competency-based checklist that you got when I sent you that first email that you've been assigned a mentor, and it is on Canvas, and we'll take a look at it. This is key. You have got to submit assigned midterm and final, one of these that is done by your SLP. By the time you get to the final one, everything that's evaluated by your SLP must at least earn a score of meets expectations in order for me to give you that certificate of completion that you need to apply for CDE authorization. So if at midterm, say you're rated below meets expectations, then we need to get together. You need to talk with your SLP, and we need to figure out how you can improve in the areas that you're low on, so that by the time you're at the end of the semester, you get those scores that you need to get your certificate. Okay, the hours log is, I've got a lot of information on Canvas for you for this, but it is so important to come up with a system that works for both you and your SLP mentor. Because ultimately the SLP mentor has to sign your final summary form with their ASHA number. And so they're putting their ASHA Cs on the line for you. So it is very important that it is accurate and your SLP is aware of how you're recording your hours. So we'll take a look at that in a minute. Here on your syllabus is some information about how to apply for CDE authorization, and we're going to look at the website in just a second. The rest of the syllabus is a course calendar, and so what you're going to see, it goes week by week. You've got the weeks on the left, what topic you're going to be focused on with your text and activities, what specific learning outcomes I expect you to have met by the end of the week. And note, this might be helpful as you're trying to prepare for your quizzes to know what I think are the main learning objectives for the week. Any readings or materials you need to review would be here, and then all graded assignments are listed here with the detail of exactly when they are due. Okay, and that is basically it. You will have a final exam on Canvas, and it's during the final exam week. That first day, you can take it anytime during the day. Okay, so let's go back and take a look at the rest of Canvas. Okay, so when you go over here, the next thing I want you to look at with me is the modules. Okay, and this is where a lot of the course content lives. So I am asking you to start with the Start Here First module. When you click on it, this is where this video lives, and there's a lot of other really important introductory information that I do want you to read. Please, please, please. Guidelines for the question answer discussions are here. We also have information about netiquette and how to conduct yourself in an online learning environment, and some information about time commitment that we already talked about. So the way the modules works best, I think, is to just, instead of going back to that modules tab, is to just go next. And it takes you to the next thing. So this is a folder called Pre-Course Activities. Now, I sent you all of this information when you received that initial email from me pairing you with a mentor. So this isn't new information, but since it's been a while, please refresh your memory. Take a look at the scope of practice document. Review all of these things. If you were not able to do your observations before the school year got out in the spring, you still need to do that at the very first opportunity during this semester. Okay? Here is some information now about those hour logs. We're going to look at this one really quickly because I often get a lot of questions about what constitutes direct and indirect or other hours. The information is here. Okay, your SLP might ask you this. Look at this with him or her. Really direct contact are the actual hours or even parts of hours that you spend working with kids. Okay, if you're only observing your SLP working with kids, you can count that time, but it can't be direct. And remember, you need 100 of your 144 hours, 100 need to be direct hours. Now, your SLP needs to provide what we call 50% line of sight supervision for your direct contact hours. So that means 50% of the time that you are working with kids directly, your supervisor needs to be in a place where they can see you, okay? The other 50% of the time, the supervisor does not need to be in the room with you, but they need to be on site, okay? For other hours, they do not need to supervise necessarily, okay? So here's some information, a way to kind of structure keeping tabs of what you've done, all right? And I want you to talk with your supervisor about how to record this in the best way for him or her so that they feel comfortable signing off on your summary form, because ultimately that's what they're going to have to do. So I think this works well because let's say you're working with a group doing intervention for 3 hours and your supervisor was there supervising for 2.5 of those hours. This allows him or her to keep tabs. Am I doing at least 50% line of sight? Okay, let's go back. Whoops, over here. That I do want a copy of that log that you create, but it doesn't have to be a hard copy. What I need for your file and to give you your certificate of completion is this summary sheet, okay? And I need this to be signed and dated by your SLP mentor, okay? So that's really important. So just please make sure you review all of this. So let's keep going, and so I can just show you what a module looks like. Okay, so this is week 1. Ignore the number 3. It's just the version number, and I can't get rid of it. So for each week, I have a checklist that you'll see, and it gives you a little bit of an overview of what to expect for the week, the learning objectives, what you need to do. If there are any assignments that are due, they will be linked here. So when you click on this, oops, I've got to fix that, but it should take you right to the assignment, okay? Now, I haven't done all the videos, but for example, I've got a video that I'll be making and putting under here that'll take you right to YouTube, and it'll be this crash course in therapy video. All right, so you can just work through each week by looking at the checklist, clicking on the assignment. Let's see, quiz 1 here. It took us right to the quiz. You have 10 minutes to complete 5 true, false, or multiple choice questions. Obviously, the date will need to change. As soon as you push go, because I'm in faculty mode, it doesn't have that, that time starts. So make sure you're keeping track of that and make sure to study. Okay, so discussion boards, we haven't put them in yet, but there will be 2, and they're the question answer discussions. All right, so that's all you need to know. For navigating Canvas, really, always as well, you need to know that there is this grades button here, and that's where you'll see the assignments that you've submitted. If we've graded it and provided feedback, that will be in there as well. So let me just check out assignments really quickly. Because most of these, if not all, have a rubric. Okay, and this is what we will use to grade your assignment. So make sure to look at what does proficient look like. What this tells you upfront what the expectations are. Okay, if there's an actual document that we want you to use, it will be uploaded in here. But of course, if you have any questions, just please feel free to ask us.